Target student John Doe is 12 years old and 11 months. He was diagnosed with intellectual disability. He lives with his dad, Jimmy Doe, and stepmother, Jane Doe, in an English speaking home in Nothing, Arkansas, which is an unincorporated community that is 23 miles from the nearest town. Parents reported that John has always had seasonal allergies and ear infections since the age of 2. John also has a lazy eye, which he wears glasses all the time for. There were no concerns noted during pregnancy or labor, and no specific milestones were noted as delayed. However, overall, milestones were noted to be delayed, and unclear speech and sleep problems were also noted. John started receiving services in kindergarten. He received physical, occupational, and speech services. He is currently being served in a self-contained classroom in a public school with 12 other students with exceptionalities. He no longer receives physical therapy services, but does receive occupational and speech services. John was reevaluated for special ed services through the dates of October through November. He was administered the Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children, 5th edition, the Wechsler Individual Achievement Test, 3rd edition, and Adaptive Behavior Assessment System, 3rd edition. The Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children, 5th edition, is used to measure general thinking and reasoning skills in children of ages 6 through 16. The assessment provides a composite score that represents the overall intellectual ability of John. A primary index score can range from 45 to 155, but the average score that we're looking for is between 90 to 109. John's overall intellectual ability was extremely low in range, with a score of 64, with 1% of his age group. His verbal comprehension, which is the ability to use word knowledge, verbalize meaning concepts, and reason with language-based information, was low average, which is with a standard score of 81, which is 10% of the same age group. Visual Spatial Index, the standard score was 67, which is extremely low, and this involves constructing designs and puzzles, and he is approximately 1% of other peers his age. Fluid Reasoning, which is logical thinking skills and his ability to use reasoning and apply rules, fell in the low average range with a score of 85, and he scored approximately 16% of other examinees that are his age. This was one of his strongest areas of performance. Working memory was extremely low range, and with a scaled score of 62, and he was approximately 1% with other examinees in the same age group. Processing speed measures at extremely low with a scaled score of 60, with a 0.4 out of 100 examinees his age. Nonverbal index, which is the ability that minimizes verbal expressions, his overall performance fell in extremely low range with 1% of his same age group, with a scaled score of 65. Cognitive Proficient Index, which provides a summary of his working memory, was also extremely low, with 0.1 out of 100 other examinees that were his age, with a scaled score of 52. John was also given the Wechsler Individual Achievement Test, 3rd edition, which measures reading, math, writing, listening comprehension, and oral expression. This test is used with students to test their achievements in these areas, grades 1 through 12th grades. He was tested in reading comprehension, and he had a standard score of 40, which put him at up to a 0.1 percentile rank. Math problem solving, which was 69, which put him at a 2% rank. Word reading with a scaled score of 40, which put him at a 0.1% rank. Essay composition, which standard score was a 40, which is a 0.1% rank. Pseudo decoding, which was a 53 standard score, and the percentile is 0.1. Numerical operations is 58 with a 0.3. And all of these areas were well below average. The adaptive behavior test that tests the adaptive behavior and how he is functioning shows that he had a scaled score of 84, which puts him as high or higher than 14% of students the same age. On social skills, he measured below average. In community use and school living, he scored an average range, which was his strength. John's needs are in the areas of verbal comprehension. John's needs are in the area of reading comprehension and numerical operations, where his strengths were in verbal comprehension and fluid reasoning. The committee should consider when that he would be eligible for special ed services, and the disability would be intellectual disabilities. The criteria determined by H.R. 1350 under IDEA is defined as significantly sub-average general intellectual functioning existing concurrently with 2 or more deficiencies in the adaptive behavior manifest during the developmental period that adversely affects the child and education performance. Charlie's intellectual functioning level is below 70. And he has significant disabilities in 2 or more adaptive skill areas. Therefore, it's my recommendation to be served under intellectual disability.